everyone, welcome to Evie's Toy House here. So today we are going to be making a sea pony. I have Pinkie Pie here from the Guardians of Harmony, and I am going to turn her into a sea pony from the new movie, My Little Pony the movie, that's coming out later this year. So the reason why I am using this Pinkie Pie is because their joints are movable. So what's really neat about their head is that they go all the way down. So for a mermaid, it's kind of nice being able to be more upright so that we can build in the tail. And the other thing about it too is that these tails just pop off. Alright, so I can't wait to see what she looks like. Let's get started. Alright, so the first thing we're going to do is remove the tail. Pops off just like that. And we are also going to remove the legs. And I think this should be pretty easy to pop off. Let's give it a try. If not, we'll have to cut it. So it doesn't seem like it wants to just come out. We will have to take an X-Acto knife and cut it out. So if you're going to be doing this at home, make sure to be very careful and also get your parents' help, because you could hurt yourself cutting this. Okay, just like that, it comes off. This rubber is actually kind of soft, so it's not too hard to cut. You just don't want your finger down here, because if you slip, you could cut yourself. So make sure to cut away from yourself and don't have your fingers underneath the knife. Alright, so here we go. We have Pinkie Pie. Oh my gosh, we are so ready for that tail. Let's get some air dry clay. Okay, so starting with a piece of air dry clay, you're going to start shaping it into the shape of a tail. You want this to be about the same width as Pinkie Pie's body. So trying to fit this in here. Start to blend it in a little bit. At this point, we have Pinkie Pie that's posable. We're going to pick a pose for her. This maybe, just her hair. Because once the air dry clay is dry, we won't be able to move her body anymore. We'll be able to move the joints. We won't be able to move her tail once the air dry clay is dried. Alright, so this is the shape that I ended up with. So we're going to smooth it down so you get this really cool mermaid shape. And now we need the end of her tail, the fins. And roll this out. And we're going to cut out a shape. Alright, now we just had to wait for the tail to dry. Alright, so we have Pinkie Pie and her tail is dried, so take a look at this. I sanded it down a little bit so that it's much smoother, and she looks really cool. And here is the tail part of her, actually her fin. So what we're going to do is glue this on so that she'll look like this. Okay, so now it's dry and it's looking really cool. Take a look at this. So I really like it that you can still move Pinkie Pie's head and also her legs in the front. And we have this really cool tail. So what we're going to do now is actually give the clay a layer of paint. So we are going to be using this pink blush pearl. So this is a pearlized pink color, which I think will be very pretty. So we're going to paint this on the tail. So I think this is going to take a few coats to make it nice and pink. And just for this tail portion, I'm actually going to use a little bit of hot pink to change up the color. So to make the scales, we're going to be using this liquid clay. So this is a Sculpey translucent liquid bakeable clay. So I learned about this technique from the Craft Hacker. She has a really cool channel and I really like the way she did her scales. And what we're going to do is, I have my piece of Teflon paper here. So it's a non-stick paper. And we're going to make a very thin layer of this clay. So it needs to be super, super thin. But before we spread it out, I'm going to add some paint to it. And we want to make sure this is actually very, very thin. Almost paper thin. Okay, once we have it spread as thin as possible, we're going to bake it. Alright, so we are done baking, and so here is the sheet. It's actually pretty cool, and look, it's flexible. And so we're just going to peel this. There we go. And taking our hole puncher, we're just going to punch out a whole bunch of these scales. So as you can see, these are very thin, and so this is what we want, and we're going to punch out a whole bunch of them. Alright, so now we're ready to put the scales on. So we're going to start from the bottom up, and what I'm going to do is put on a thin layer of Mod Podge as glue. And this will dry translucent, so it's okay if I get it on the other parts of the tail. So we're going to do just a little bit of time so that it doesn't dry out. And we're going to start with the small circles that I got. So I cut out 2 different sizes. So one is a small circle. And I'm just going to shape it onto here. Okay, so I've laid down a few of these small ones. Now we're going to move on to the larger circles. And it's still a bit hard in the beginning because this tail section is very small, but as the glue dries, I'm going to fold it down so that it is flush with the clay. So this is actually really hard to do with the camera on, so I'm going to do this off camera. But what I'm essentially going to do is layer these circles on top of each other and to give it that layered look, and this is going to take a lot of little circles. Alright, so right now I am about halfway through, and I just want to show you my progress. So this is actually very slow, tedious work. You have to lay down a layer of glue and then carefully lay down each of these circles on top of each other and let it kind of wrap around the clay. But I'm really happy with the result. Take a look at this. It looks so cool. So here is the side without any scales, and here's the side with the scales. Doesn't that look neat? I'm just going to show you how I'm doing this. I'm using glue and then layering it on top. And we're going to do it one row at a time. Wait for it to dry, press it down, and then we'll work on the next row. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and finish the rest of the tail, and I'll be back. Alright, so the tail is done, and take a look, isn't that pretty? So right now I have a layer of Mod Podge on it, so that's why it looks a little bit opaque-ish. And what we're going to do is add some glitter, because I think sea ponies always need a little bit of glitter. So what I have here is some white and pink glitter, and I'm just going to sprinkle it on. I really like these scales. They are so pretty. Alright everyone, so we are done. Take a look at Pinkie Pie as a sea pony. Isn't she beautiful? I just love how this tail turned out. So the scale is kind of iridescent because of the glitter. And also because the pink that I used had a gradient color, so it gave it kind of that shimmering look. And of course up here, her body, her front part of her body is still posable, so we can still move her front legs, we can still move her neck, so she can look like she is swimming. Or she could also be sitting, and we can move her head back so she has a more upright look. That is so cute. And of course, we also have our Princess Skystar. This is the first sea pony that I made, and this was using a regular pony that didn't have the movable head. So she is a little bit more restricted in how she can be posed. So she looks a little bit different, a little bit shorter. I think just as cute. And of course we didn't have the scales back then, so I think having the scales really make a huge difference in giving it that sea pony look. And I like both of them actually. So let me know down below in the comment section what you think of my sea ponies and what you think of these scales. And if you guys like this video, make sure to subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!